At our table this morning, New York Democrat Adriano Espaillat, a member of the Appropriations and Budget Committees, and also a member of leadership. Sir, let's start with that vote yesterday. Leadership in the Democratic Party decided to vote to table a motion to vacate the speakership. Why?
I think the American people are really upset at the dysfunction coming from the majority of the Republican Party. We see how time and time again they drag the entire Congress into standstill and dysfunction. And so it was important that we told the American people that we're looking to have bipartisan work. We're looking to have normality. We're looking to have stability in Congress and get things done. This has been one of the most ineffective Congress in the history of the United States, and not much has been done. And that has been the case because the MAGA conservative Republicans have continuously dragged us into disarray, and we chose not to do that yesterday.
Why Mike Johnson, though? Because Democrats voted in October against Kevin McCarthy when one of their own Republicans brought forward a motion to vacate the chair. So why Mike Johnson?
Well, I would like to see Hakeem Jeffries as Speaker, obviously. But at this juncture, we all thought that it was prudent to put people over politics to ensure that the American people gain confidence in what we're doing in Congress, that they continue to have a positive outlook of what we may be able to accomplish, which has not been the case. And so enough is enough.
If Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene or another Republican offers another motion to vacate the chair, what will Democrats do then?
I mean, we'll cross that bridge when we get there, but and certainly during these uncertain times in the world and in our country, it is not a good thing to have dysfunction at the House of Representatives. And again, the MAGA Republicans continue to drag not just Democrats, but also a good chunk of Republicans off that cliff. And so we got to stop that.
We were speaking earlier this morning with an Axios reporter. She reported, Steph Kite, about a new rule the Biden administration could drop today that would make it harder for people to claim asylum. That would speed up the process for claiming asylum. Rather than waiting for an immigration judge, it would be an immigration official who would decide whether or not a claim is credible. What do you know about it, and do you agree with it?
Well, the devil is in the details, obviously. I haven't read the rule. So I'll hold my judgment on the rule until I read it and see the details of it. But every person that's fleeing persecution, violence, food insecurity, a mom that travels with her 2 kids because a gang is trying to recruit her 13-year-old and threatens to kill her, should have a day in court to establish why she's an asylum seeker. And that's a fundamental tenet of America. It has been like that for all of our history. And so there's no reason why we should change. So I'll wait and see what the details are before I cast judgment on it.
The House also renewed a push yesterday on the Equal Representation Act. What would it do?
Well, the Equal Representation Act, I strongly oppose that, obviously. It's H.R. 7109. This legislation will mandate the inclusion of a question regarding a person's citizenship on the decennial census beginning in 2030. That will discourage. A census is a document, a tool to accurately document our population, our demographics. And anything that discourages that accurate count should not be included in it.
Why not?
Because the census drives funding to cities, to municipalities, to states, to our school systems, to our health systems. It's really the demographics that drive funding during the budget process. And so to have a document out there that's inaccurate is a disservice, really, to the American people that deserve to have funding for elementary schools, school lunches, and the likes.
Yesterday, Speaker Mike Johnson and others held a news conference on the steps of the Capitol talking about the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, the SAFE Act. The bill requires proof of citizenship to vote in federal elections. Let's listen to what he said.
We are here this morning for a very important reason, as you all know, because there is currently an unprecedented and a clear and present danger to the integrity of our election system. And that is the threat of non-citizens and illegal aliens voting in our elections. In the last 5.5 months or so, I've been to over 101 cities doing events all around the country in more than half the states. The first or second question that I am asked in every public forum is about election security. Americans are deeply concerned about this, and it doesn't matter where you live and whether you're in a blue state or a red state, everyone's concerned. And due to the wide open border that the Biden administration has refused to close, in fact, that they engineered to open, we now have so many non-citizens in the country that if only 1 out of 100 of those voted, they would cast hundreds of thousands of votes. And since our elections are so razor thin in these days that we're in, and just a few precincts in a few states decide the makeup of Congress and who is elected to the White House, this is a dangerously high number, and it is a great concern to millions and millions of Americans. It could obviously change the outcome of our elections, and this is not an empty threat or concern.
Congressman, your reaction?
This is a lot more of the same. Election deniers, folks that in the past, we've heard this before from former President Trump, who alleged that millions of undocumented people voted in the past election, all proven to be absolutely false. The Justice Department, research was done on it by think tanks. No proof whatsoever that that was the case. And so again, this is pushing the alarm button for something that is really not there. I don't know of any undocumented person that will go and try to vote and try to get themselves arrested and deported. This is absolutely false. The states, they like to have it both ways, where they say that the states have the rights to establish election law, as is currently the case, but now they want to implement a nationwide piece of legislation. Totally forced on a premise that's not there. It's made up. It's another form of election denying. It's really, I believe, preempting what could be a defeat in the next presidential election.
We'll go to John, who's first in Temple Hills, Maryland, independent. Hi, John.
Good morning. We've heard a lot about the Black and Brown Coalition. I would like to ask the representative, do you support a Black American agenda, which includes cash reparations for Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, ending qualified immunity for government officials, specifically police officers, and passage of an anti-hate crime bill, similar to the ones that was passed for agents and the anti-Semitism bill? It can be answered yes or no. Either you support a Black agenda or you don't. Thank you.
I do. I have supported the Commission for Reparations to take a look at reparations. That is a legislation that was put forward by Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. I also believe that there should be anti-hate laws that cover the entire rate of bigotry and hate, not just anti-Semitism, but xenophobia, Islamophobia, and just racism in general.
Bennett in Severna Park, Maryland, Republican. Bennett, you're up next for the congressman.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for taking my call. I don't get many opportunities to ask questions to U.S. representatives, so I would like to ask this one question, and that is, do you believe that the trajectory of our spending and the U.S. national debt is a national security concern, something that threatens the quality of life for U.S. citizens? And what is the timeline for such a concern and as far as its impacts on our quality of life?
I believe that our national debt is a problem. Unfortunately, since the Reagan years, we've seen a dramatic reduction in our ability to capture revenue. The tax codes have been structured in a way where a multi-billionaire pays less taxes than a nurse, a police officer, or a teacher. As a result, we have not been able to capture the revenues that we need to continue to have government move forward. I think that we need to restructure our ability to capture revenue to ensure that those that make more pay just a little bit more and should not be paying, absolutely should not be paying less than a teacher, a firefighter, a nurse, or a police officer. I think that that's a disparity in America that cuts right through the credibility of government. That's why many Americans distrust government, because a teacher is trying to make ends meet while a multimillionaire is paying a very small percentage of taxes in comparison to his or her income.
We'll go to Connecticut, Willington, Connecticut. Gregory, Democratic caller.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Congressman, the U.S. foreign policy is my biggest concern. Trillions of dollars we've spent on these adventure wars all over the world, almost my entire life. So my biggest point right now, my biggest concern really is Ukraine. Over 600,000 dead. They're in the last throes there. Why are we doing this to the Ukrainian people? Now, I am no fan of Putin. I'm a lifelong Democrat. I think our foreign policy is causing us to be less safe around the world rather than more safe. And this continued military-industrial complex in relationship with AIPAC and Netanyahu and the 40,000 that he's killed over there, never mind all the injuries, this is my biggest concern. And I cannot believe that the groupthink in D.C., the D.C. bubble, would go against the American population on these conflicts.
Okay, Gregory, let's get a response.
Well, regarding the Ukraine, that is a serious matter. I am not by no way, shapes, or form a hawk, but I understand clearly the importance of bringing help to the Ukraine. A Vladimir Putin victory in the Ukraine will result in major economic consequences, not just for the European Union and its economy, but for the world's economy, including our economy right here at home. So we cannot ignore that. The Ukrainian people are heroic people. They have pushed back on a vicious thug in Vladimir Putin, and we should be there to assist them. I think that it's not just about Ukraine. It is about Europe, their economy. It is about ultimately about our well-being and our economy, and that just cannot be ignored.
Tom Gibsonburg, Ohio, Republican. Hi, Tom.
Hi. I listened to the guy just before you, and he said that all these people are coming over here are going to be voting, and this is really wrong if that's the truth. And why you people, as a Democrat, I was a Democrat for a lot of years. I've been in the military 2 times. You need to do exactly what that woman told the other guy. You need to get off of your butt and go to work and do things right. Thank you.
Well, as I said earlier, Speaker Johnson's assertion that there is massive election fraud committed by undocumented has been proven time and time again to be fraud, to be a ill-advised and ill-conceived notion of what's happening in the electoral process in the United States of America. So for that reason, I think that that it is false.
Here's a question from Mike in Rockford, Illinois, related. Please ask your guest, if the migrants get work permits, does that then give them the status to vote?
No, absolutely not. You have to be a U.S. citizen to vote. I believe in work permits. I think that the economy needs labor. The migrants are here, and other folks that are here in the country for some time now. No one should skip the line. They should come first. But they will pay taxes, and they will make our economy stronger.
I want to get your reaction to the front page of the New York Times, sir, this morning about what's happening in Haiti. Here is the headline: Haitian gangs force 360,000 to flee homes. The United Nations calling this a cataclysmic crisis.
Well, as you know, the Kenyan government has agreed to send its troops to Haiti. after a call from the United Nations. Other countries have agreed to assist in bringing stability to Haiti. That begins by training the national police there and pushing back to defeat these violent gangs. It is important that the funding that's being held up in Congress right now by the Republican leadership is released so that the Kenyan forces and other forces that will be going to Haiti to bring about stability are able to do so. The Haitian people has suffered far too long. They deserve to have peace and tranquility. I'm originally from the Dominican Republic. We are concerned that those gangs may cross the border into our territory as well, and we will do anything that's necessary to ensure that there's peace both in the Dominican Republic and in Haiti.
Tell us your story of coming to the United States.
I came to the United States as a young boy on a visitor's visa. We overstayed our visas back in the 60s, had to get our green card, became a U.S. citizen, and now I'm a member of Congress. What a great nation.
We'll go to Brian, who's in Albuquerque, New Mexico, independent.
Yes, good morning. Pleasure to speak with you. I'm a retired union construction worker, so in the Chicagoland area. I've dealt with the illegal immigrant problem my entire working life. And I want to point out that Democrats always claim to care about the little guy, the average working man in the United States. But why is it that the Democratic Party doesn't go after all the illegal employers, all the employers of illegal immigrants? There's silence. Why not prosecute the people that break the law, hire the illegal immigrants, and become the magnet that draws them here? They're obviously breaking the law, and this also serves to drive down wages for average indigenous American people. So why don't you square that circle for me? Tell me why Democrats don't prosecute illegal employers.
Well, right now, the jobs that are available and all indicators show that the economy needs lots more workers than we have. And the jobs that are available are primarily jobs that Americans are now willing to take up. So we have folks that want to take up those jobs, whether it is picking crops to put food on our table, or whether it is in the service industry, washing dishes or serving our food in a restaurant, cutting our lawns, or the likes. So there's enough jobs out there where if we were to allow undocumented folks that abide by the law, obviously, that will play within the parameters of the law, will not go beyond the parameters of the law to get a work permit, they will contribute tremendously to the strength of our economy. It will not weaken the economy. We've seen this argument that the gentleman just brought up play out time and time again in the chapters of our history, whether it was against Irish immigrants or Italian immigrants or Jewish immigrants, or even during the migration of blacks from the South to northern cities. We've seen this play time and time again. Again, no chapter of history has seen the economy of our nation uplifted without the presence of immigrant labor. And we have them here now. The economy needs them. Let's use them.
We're talking this morning with Congressman Adriana Espaillat, Democrat of New York, Appropriations Budget Committee member, also a member of the Democratic Senior Whip, Caucus Senior Whip. There we go,
That's
your
correct.
leadership title. Marshall in Brooksville, Florida, Republican.
Yes, good morning. My question is the Congressman, was you in the military?
No, I never served in the military.
Well,
I was part of the draft during the Vietnam War, but I was never drafted into the U.S. Army.
I was in the military. I fought for this country. I did not fight for this country to have illegal immigrants come over here and take over this country. And that's what you're saying. You're saying it's okay. And you're also saying they pay taxes if they work. How many are working that is getting paid cash? So you're saying it's okay to break the law. Go ahead and pay them cash. You don't know how many's getting paid. But what really upsets me more is what you're saying is about these illegal immigrants. This border should be closed. I didn't go to war. I didn't go get wounded and come back to this country to see a bunch of illegal immigrants and Chinese and everybody else come over here to take this country over. And the Democrats are letting that happen.
All right, Marshall. Congressman.
Well, undocumented residents already pay taxes.
In what way?
When they go to a grocery store, they pay sales tax. If they're given the work permit, they will formally pay taxes. I think that's an important thing that they add and contribute to the fiscal stability of our nation. And at the same time, there are industries like the agricultural industry that is asking for labor to come in so they can do their work. The construction industry, the home building industry, saying they have a lack of workers. We see how time and time again our economy, all indicators show that we lack workers. Well, they're here. Let's give them the opportunity to become, to have a work permit. They won't be a load on government. Government would not have to issue any help to them. They will fence off on their own, just like everybody else has done in this nation.
How long were you and your family undocumented?
Over a year, just slightly over a year. It wasn't a long time, but we came here on a visitor's visa, and eventually we got our green card, and I became a U.S. citizen, and now I'm a member of Congress.
What was the process like for your family for that year?
It was difficult because, as you know, anybody that wakes up in the morning not knowing whether they're going to be there again the next day is under a lot of stress, obviously, and it's a traumatic experience to anybody. But this is a nation that has a huge heart and allows people to move forward. And I'm happy and proud and grateful that it allowed me to move forward.
We'll go to Naples, Florida. Robert, Independent.
Hey, how you doing? I got a real simple solution for this illegal immigration. Since hiring illegal immigrants or people here, desperate people, getting hired, use the RICO statutes against those that would hire them, because it's a continuation of the crime of illegal immigration and also the gangs and stuff. So if we used the RICO statutes and went after those people that hired them, it would stop real quick.
All right, Robert.
Well, look, law enforcement has the ability to crack down on gangs. I believe strongly that gangs present a clear and present danger, not just to my neighborhoods that I represent here in Congress, but to the entire nation. We should work with law enforcement to ensure that the gangs are eradicated from our street corners and our neighborhoods in the city of New York and in other states, in other urban settings, as well as the rest of the nation.
Let's hear from Larry in Burnsville, Minnesota. Democratic caller.
Hello. The question I have is, why won't the Democratic Party recognize Vladimir Putin as the communist he is and has been since he was at the KGB? And what that means is that Vladimir Putin's communist attack on Ukraine is actually an attack on the democracy of the Ukraine. And I don't know why the Democratic Party won't acknowledge the fact that Vladimir Putin is a communist, always has been, and always will be.
All right, we'll take that, Larry.
Well, I think that the Democratic Party has been outspoken in calling Vladimir Putin for what he is. There's been I presented a resolution calling him a war criminal for the kinds of actions that he has taken militarily in the Ukraine. And our leadership has continuously stood up to support and defend the Ukraine against the Russian incursion, and of course, to protect NATO and the European Union as well.
Jim in Indiana, Republican. Hi, Jim.
Good morning, and I'd like to make a statement and a question. Hopefully I get it in this time span. First of all, I want to know why the inflation level is increasing excessive from 3.4 to 3.6 because of Biden's excessive spending. My question is, how can you sit back there and look and be fancy when Biden was told by the Supreme Court not to be giving this money away, in which he's using to buy votes, and he's using taxpayers' money. How can you sit back there and say the guy is doing such a fantastic job? The board, this takes two people, just like the Boston Marathon, to do a lot of destruction. Now, he's let 10 million go through. My question is, how can you sit there in that nice office looking so nice and good and let him take that money from us hardworking taxpayers? How can you do it?
Okay, Jim.
Well, President Biden has done a tremendous job at creating jobs. Just a couple of days ago, he went to a part of the country, a region of the country, to announce a major investment for job creation and training in the artificial intelligence industry. That we've seen the lowest unemployment in decades upon decades. And yes, we have a very stubborn inflation rate that we're looking and we're trying to address. And I believe that we will bring it down. But right now, the economy continues to be strong. Unemployment continues to be down, and people are working. And so we're looking to bring down inflation to ensure that pocketbook issues are addressed for the American families.
One more call here. Congressman Rudy, Chula Vista, California, Democratic caller.
Hello. Can you hear me?
We can, Rudy. Question or comment?
My comment is the people have to open their eyes about the Democrats are doing a good job. Biden is doing the best he can. They forget about the coronavirus. They forget about Trump hiring legals for his golf courses. They don't see that. And then they criticize the people who are illegal, but they put food on our tables. Are they going to go out there and work in the fields? They won't do that.
Congressman, your final thoughts.
I agree with the caller. Biden did a tremendous job during the pandemic, the American Rescue Act. We also saw how he brought down the prices of prescription drugs, insulin, which was so high that people had to ration the prescription drug or decide whether they had to pay rent or purchase the prescription drug. The bipartisan infrastructure bill has created great amount of opportunities in my district. It brought in $7.7 billion for the second phase of the Second Avenue subways. That's not just a transportation project. It will create jobs. The CHIPS Act, we've seen how that's going to make the U.S. competitive again across the world. Biden has done the Inflation Reduction Act, an unprecedented investment in the environment to save Mother Earth. Biden has done an unprecedented job, and I think that as we move forward, we should not forget what he did during the pandemic, the crisis of our lifetime. He took us by the hand and ushered us right through that crisis.
Congressman Espaillat, thank you very much,
Thank
sir.
you for having me.
We appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.